Damanto,
Yes.
can I ask you something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I can see this the slide is mentioned like Sumber I know, copy I know, copy what just now I can copy
what?
Copy prima, copy I think it's copy something like that, right? Sumber copy prime or prima?
Oh, it's like a
Cafe?
coffee.
Oh,
Yeah,
I see.
one of our alumni be a manager.
I see.
This
Now I got it.
PT. Yeah.
So right now I understand. Okay.
Yeah.
That one will be the first one in three, right? One of the visiting professor
Right.
on the 11 May. Now I
Yeah.
understand. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
PT Sumber Kopi Prima is not only produce coffee, but so many what is goods, consumption goods like bread, also milk.
I see. It's not only coffee.
Mm.
Indonesia is famous with coffee.
Right.
One coffee from the animal, right? I forgot the name.
Yep. Kopi luwak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very expensive,
Yeah.
I think. That one.
Yes. It's very expensive and yeah, just what is for specific the customers who buy it or who consume it.
Are you a coffee lover, Namanto?
Yeah.
I see. Good. Me too. Yeah. Every morning I brew my own coffee.
Oh, what is famous coffee in Malaysia?
I get it from Penang, one of the island in northern. The history of the coffee shop is more than 100 years. So yeah, quite nice. Less acidic. It's a mix. I think they do it themselves. So quite nice. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm planning to get some Indonesian coffee also
Okay.
later. Yeah.
You can visit someday, yeah.
Yeah, inshallah.
And I'll bring you to traditional coffee.
Inshallah. How's your conference?
Running well. It's running well. And I invited Prof Harry Kuswanto.
Oh, Harry.
Yeah,
yes,
Harry.
Since
you have another schedule, so I contacted Mr. Harry.
Good. Inshallah, next time.
Yeah,
quite busy nowadays.
Suci juga busy.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Where is Suci?
Yeah, beside me.
Oh, beside you. Okay, this why I cannot see the name. It's not here. Yeah. Assalamualaikum.
She got her lunch.
I see. Yeah, this one just after.
Yeah.
After what you call this prayer, right? Yeah.
Okay. Gimana ini? Can we start? Terus ya. Yeah. Please turn on your camera, teman-teman. Ayo dinyalakan kameranya. Ini siapa ini? Safran, Aura, Inka, Hanif. Ya.
Assalamualaikum.
Enggak bunyi suaranya.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. The Honorable Lecturer, Professor T.S. Dr. M. Hisyam Lee, FAPM, Mrs. Rahma Fitiani, SSI, MSc, PhD, Mrs. Dr. Eni Sumarminingsi, SSI, MM, Mrs. Dr. Suci, SSI, MSI, Mrs. Lutfatul Amaliana, SSI, MSI, and Mr. Darmanto, SSI, MSI, and all of my beloved friends. First of all, let us thank to the Almighty God, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, because of His blessing, we are able to come here to join in this practitioner class with Professor T.S. Dr. M. Hisyam Lee, FAPM, from University Technology Malaysia. My name is Elvira Mesofwa, and I will be the Master of Ceremony and moderator of this practitioner class. Ladies and gentlemen, today we will learn about the principles of multivariate process, T-square Hotelling chart, multivariate Q-sum, and multivariate UMA for subgroup and individual observations. Now, I will read one by one our agenda today that are: the first session is presentation time from Prof T.S. Dr. M. Hisyam Lee, FAPM. The second session is opinion, question, and answer session. The third session is documentation and closing session. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome our presenters. Start presentation. Please welcome Professor T.S. Dr. M. Hisyam Lee, FAPM.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for the introductions. Let me share my slide first.
Yes, Prof. I can see your slide.
You can see my slide. Good. Check. Okay, good. Yeah. Okay. Right. Again, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for joining the second meeting for this guest lecture from University Barawi Bijaya. So thank you very much for the invitations. Thank you very much, Pak Darmanto and Suci for able to attend and join me for this lecture. I can see we have around 30 plus students already participate in this lecture. So probably I think probably I can start, right? So thank you very much for coming. As mentioned just now, our topic for this second meetings for this visiting professor program will be on the topic multivariate statistical process control. In our first meeting, we mentioned or talking or discussing about the univariate statistical process control. So for the second, we did additional words, multivariates. As you know, the multivariates meaning is more than one variables. So they will be the interest of our today discussions. Right. So just want to lay out the learning outcome for today. So hopefully by end of this 1.5 hour, we are able to understand and the fundamental of multivariate process monitorings. So before this, we already mentioned about the univariates for a few charts that I mentioned, like UMA and other charts. So today we will extend it for multivariates, just like other topics or other courses where you learn about simple linear regression. After that, you learn about the multiple linear regression. So in terms of realistic, in the real world situations, there will be much more in the situation or scenario of multivariates. The second will be identify and understand the principle of T square, Hotelling, and MQ sum and M UMA. This is some of the statistics or control chart that we're going to learn for multivariates. So we have you can see that previously we learned about Q sum, cumulative sum control chart. So today you see there's an additional letter M in front there. So the M will be stand for multivariates. Okay, and also UMA you already learned in the first lecture. So this is the second one, is also about multivariate. So you have an additional M. All right. So these are just acronym or short names, quite famous in SPC or statistical process control. This will be the quite standard acronyms for this control chart. So after that, we're going to apply these charts to both for individual and also subgroup observations, as what we learned in UMA and also QSUM previously. So this will be the for individual and also for subgroup scenarios. Okay, so depends when or where is more appropriate in the real scenario. So then after that, we're going to demonstrate how to implement it in using R for the appropriate package they're going to show you after this. So not only mentioning about the principle, the concept of this chart, but also show you that how actually it can work using R. And definitely you can use other software also, right? Just to demonstrate. So at least also you have a better understanding on that. After having the control chart available, we're going to give you some of the interpretation of the result for this control chart. Okay, and finally is to understand the consideration involved in selecting the most appropriate control chart for the given quality control task. Because here you have a lot. You have this T square, and you have the MQ sum. You have this MUMA control chart. Then which one is much appropriate? Something you need to select. Just something like you learn in for example, in hypothesis, you have many situations which statistic the most appropriate for you to use. For example, probably you assume your standard deviations, or you assume this, assume that, then what will be the test that appropriate? So there will be the scenario, give you some idea. Okay. Right, this will be our overview or our outline for today. So I'm going to start off with the multivariate statistical process control. Okay, so talking about on that. After that, multivariate control chart. Then we go straight heading to the control chart. These three will be our main focus for today lecture. So T square, Hotelling, control chart, the multivariate Q sum. So the additional with the M as I mentioned. So then we have the MUMA. So the M is stand for multivariate. UMA, I think you already understand, exponential weighted moving average control chart. So these are the things we're going to learn today. Moving on, so today's lecture we're going to cover this principle of multivariate process, and going to use T square and also MQ sum and MUMA control chart. So these techniques are offer valuable tools for monitoring and improve multivariate processes. Right. As we mentioned many times, okay, so you as a statistics students, you must always remember that actually one of the importance is the processes involved, whereby we need to monitor and improve whatever processes. So there will be techniques that involve. So you need to master these techniques. Okay, they will be very valuable for you in working place. So by applying this technique, it is possible to detect shift in process mean, vector, and maintain process stability. So that's why you can see they evolve in the manufacturing industry. After that, the application have been broadened. So this will be the thing. So you want to detect certain shift. So moving on, we're going to start off with the multivariate processes. So the study of multivariate processes form a crucial part of SPC, statistical process control. So the main focus will be on the monitoring and also control, improve process with the multivariate, multiple correlated variables. So previously we are talking about univariate. Now in certain scenario, you have more than one variable you can observe or you're going to monitor simultaneously. So with all this, you know, these variable probably are correlated with each other. I'm going to show you some example after this to demonstrate that in these situations. So this is very common in the real world situation, that variables are correlated. So then if you use a single one, they will be less appropriate. So that's why people come out with this, what we call as a multiple, multivariates or multiples processes here. A multivariate process comprises multiple interrelated quality characteristics. So they are characteristics that are actually related. For example, you have a piston ring. You have got motorbike, you got piston ring. You have when they want to manufacture the piston ring, you have they measure the inner piston ring and also the outer piston ring. So with all these two, both also will influence the quality, and also the studied characteristics will be measures and importance. So you need to monitor this to fulfill the quality that are required. So all these are related characteristics. So each variable in a multivariate process has certain level of correlations with one or more other process. Just I mentioned, give you an example that you can imagine is like the piston ring. Sometimes you measure the inner ring and an outer. So both of these also very important, and they are related. This correlation is important feature to observe, as it helps to better understand the process behavior and improve overall quality. Okay, so we do not exclude it. If they really, all these variables are correlated, so be it, and we try to analyze it or get the statistics required. Okay, when dealing with a multivariate process using univariate control chart for each individual variable may not be sufficient or effective due to the present correlations. Just like if you do the regressions, modelings. So you learn the simple linear regression, you have a single one, but if you continue for other variable, whereby the variable are very much related, so it's not that good. So that's why you learn after that is multiple regressions, or after you can extend for logistic regression also. But all these are you have multiple whereby you can consider all these much better. So that will be the thing. The complexity of multivariate processes necessitate advanced control chart techniques capable of capturing and illustrating the intricate relationship between the variables. So it's very important. That's why seldom people use univariates unless your observation or the feature characteristic is a single variable. If you've got more than one that you need to observe, you need to monitor simultaneously, then multivariate control chart will be a good option. Okay. Challenges in monitoring multivariate processes. Monitoring multivariate processes present unique challenge due to the complexity of interactions between multiple variables. Definitely, you have more complex situations. Definitely probably more times to in terms of competitions. The distribution is no more univariate distributions. You want to get the statistics. The distribution will be the joint distributions that you have learned also. So there will be the situations more complex. But definitely the result will be much better. Okay, so the challenge is there, but the yield is also be considered better. Changes in one variable may influence other variables in the process because all these variables are correlated. If you're talking about, for example, you got 8 variables, all these 8 variables are correlated. You change one, somehow it will influence another variables. Okay, you just remember about this. Then later I'm going to show you some example to illustrate that. So the correlation between variables can often lead to more complex and subtle shift in the process mean and variables. Okay, so the correlation will influence as mentioned. The traditional univariate control chart can miss the shift. Sometimes if you do that, so resulting in lower sensitivity and lower response time. Okay, so that's why certain people, if you got many variables, it's not suitable to use a univariate control chart. So it will be much more appropriate to use multivariate control charts. So now mentioned just now about the processes, multivariate processes, there will be the scenario whereby the variable are highly correlated, okay, but definitely there's a way out, okay, using appropriate control chart. So next we'll be talking about the control charts, okay, definitely it is about the multivariate. So next will be the multivariate control chart, provide a solution allowing this simultaneous monitoring of multiple process variable. Okay, so at least we know that if we have the variable are correlated and we want to monitor it, the process, so there's a way to monitor it. Okay, just like we want to find a relationship between variables and the variable is more than one. You know the solutions in statistics. You know the solution. The solution will be using multiple linear regressions, for example. Okay, so here you also know if you have got more than one variable that actually you want to monitor, okay, or you want to improve the process. So you always there's a solution here. Okay, so the solution will be using the multiple control charts. Okay. To effectively monitor multivariate processes, different type of multivariate control chart have been developed. So the thing is already there. So this include these three that we're going to learn today. Technically, okay, in deep until you know how to execute it. Okay, until you can get a control chart. So that's the thing we're going to learn. The most famous is this three T square, Hotelling, and also the next one will be multivariate Q sum, cumulative sum, or they call M sum, and also the last but not least, a very important one is a multivariate UMA, or they call MUMA control charts. So you go to learn these three that actually can able to fulfill the purpose of what we have mentioned before this. Each of these charts use different techniques to capture and display the behavior of the process, thereby enhancing the ability to detect shift in the process mean and variability. So they will be the things that each one will be have their advantage, they have their disadvantage, have their strength and so forth. Okay, so also have their limitations. So you don't learn one method, you learn more because outside there the situation will be many. So it depends on. Same thing like if you learn other things, like you learn hypothesis, you learn regressions, you learn time series. So because different data set have different behavior, have different purpose. So that's why you need to learn more than one. You cannot learn only one. So with that, you enrich your understandings. So when you are in the workforce, you have different scenario, then you can apply it accordingly. Okay. Okay. Next is about the each of these chart use different techniques to capture. Okay, this one I did mention just now. It considered the joint variability of process variables, okay, given a more accurate representations of overall process variability. As I mentioned just now, okay, if you univariate, then you univariate distributions. Multivariate, use multivariate distributions. Basically, it gives you a more accurate representations for the overall process. Okay, so each chart has a unique attribute and benefit. Later on, I'm going to list down what is their unique attribute and also the benefits. So then at least you can remember, okay, this one is more strong in this one will be much better than this. Right now, so along with certain drawback, it also have a disadvantage and so forth, which can influence their application in different scenarios. Just I remember just now talking with about the manto just now about the coffee. So coffee also like this. So they have a different unique attributes and so forth. So if people like more acidics, probably can go for this kind of coffee. If people like more the different features, they can something like that. So the selection of an appropriate control chart largely depend on the nature of the process data. So you need to look at the data, what actually you want. Is similar to what I have mentioned in our first meeting. It very much depends on the data. If your data, if for example you're doing manufacturing new products, you have a new machines, you have new raw material, you have new stuff. So probably you're going to look into using a more appropriate type control chart. Probably look into the big shift first, okay, to stable your process. But if everything is is in stable stage, for example, your raw material also very stable, workers also experienced worker and so forth, then definitely you're going to use a different chart to monitor your process better. So that will be the situation. So I'm going to mention before we go into details. Okay, I think it's good that we mention their strengths or each of these control chart and also their limitations. So before we go into deep in terms of the technicals, into the calculations, what is their formulas, I think this is something that probably you can appreciate this one. So we're going to start off with one. Okay, for example, this one, the T-square Hotelling control chart. Their strength, they're going to provide a robust method for detecting shift in the mean vector. We mentioned here mean vector. Okay, we not only like univariate, we mention mean only. Basically they are detecting shift in the mean only. But this is mean vector. When we mention vector, mean is multivariate. It's more than one. If we are looking into 5 variable, for example, means the vector have 5 elements there. All right, of a multivariate process, and is particularly effective when changes are relatively large. So the keyword here is that if you want, if the changes is relatively large, now you can see the shift quite large. You want to monitor on that. Then in your mind should be focus this one, focusing on this T-square Hotelling control chart will be appropriate. Definitely can use others, but this will give you a better result. Okay, this control chart. As mentioned, what will be the relative large situations? For example, you have a new batch of raw materials. Okay, you don't know their variabilities, so that definitely you want to check. So it's not a constant process. Okay, then definitely you're going to use these T-square charts. Okay, or for example, you have a new staff. Okay, new environments. That will be much appropriate. This one. In terms of limitations, not as effective for detecting small shift. Sometimes people is already comply. In the product is already can use. You already can use the product, but you still want to refine it. Make sure that actually the quality is really high. So in these situations, then this control chart probably is not that appropriate to detect small shift. Sometimes you only, for example, very small shift, deviation from whatever thing that you want to measure. For example, the piston ring I mentioned, or the piston ring. Sometimes you want to produce a very accurate piston ring. For example, their diameters, 10 cm, for example. That diameters, really want to accurate for certain purpose, probably high-end motors and so forth. Then T-square will be not that appropriate, or changes in process values. So ideal for processes when large shifts are expected. You expect large shift. Okay, there will be situations. The second control chart, the MQ sum, their strength is extremely effective at detecting small and moderate shift in the mean vector. So I think mean vector you already answered the one. So this one is a more small shift. Okay, thing is already in process, but you still want to make sure everything is really near to the target. For example, your target is really 10 cm, for example, that target. So you really want to narrow down to make sure everything is that. So the fluctuation will be very less. So then this NQ sum chart will be considered much more appropriate. What is the limitations? Maybe more complex to compute and interpret than other charts. Okay, it's more sensitive to false alarm. So they do have their drawback. You can detect a very small shift or moderate shift, but at the same time the calculation will be more. Okay, and the second thing is the more sensitive toward false alarm. False alarm is a term that they use now. Okay, but actually if you learn back in statistics, basically it's talking about type 1 error. I think you learn about hypothesis, right? Type 1 error. So it's like you reject H now when H now is true, right? So that will be the situations. So the control scenario and out of control situations. Okay, the chart signal they like is out of the control limit. So the signal out of control. but actually, in fact, the process is under control. So it's a false signal. So you have this situation. So sometimes it's a certain point or certain sample out of control, but you need to be careful. Then you need to understand there's a possibility that actually the out of control is due to this false alarm. So they have a bit of this one. And so ideal for processes when a small shift need to be detected quickly. You want to detect quickly, there will be significant. So it serves the purpose also, but you need to be careful and also have a bit more computations of that. Last but not least is this one, the MUMA chart. Okay, the strength is effective at detecting small to moderate, similar to the MQ sum, and allow the control limit to be adjusted based on expected magnitude of shift. So you can adjust. This is much more complicated because you're using the weighted way. So you can adjust on that. But it gives you the same things, looking at detecting small and also moderate shift. Limitations require careful selections of weight. So the lambda, the weight, we learned in UMA previously, the lambda, the weight also need to be select. So this need experience, need more insight and so forth about the process. So normally people don't go straight away go to this. They go to other charts first, for example, the T-square and so forth. And also the MQ sum before they come to this. But if you have experience, definitely this is much better. Okay, to balance sensitivity to shift and false alarm rate, same things. So whatever discrepancy in MQ sums that I mentioned just now about a false alarm, so it can be kettled in this MUMA control chart. Okay, but since this is the fine tunings, not everybody able to read correctly the first time. All right. So because they play around with the lambda there. So ideal for processes where flexibility in tuning the sensitivity of the chart is important. So something for you to venture of this. So this will be the three in terms of their strength and the limitations. So so I think you have a handful of informations about this multivariate control chart. With that, if you encounter or you do your final year project or whatever situations, then you can handle it. Okay, at least you can fall back and see which one, rather than you straight away learn about the control chart without knowing what is the advantage and disadvantage, pro and cons of all this control chart. So hopefully this some of the information will be helpful that at least you know that not only you have your data that you want to monitor, you want to improve their process, then you just use whatever control chart that available. Okay, then this is not appropriate, especially if you're from a statistic background. Okay, you have a degree in statistics. Definitely we don't do that. We always look at the data and the scenarios and what you want to achieve. Okay, and then select the most appropriate one. Okay. So before I start the first control chart we're going to learn today, any question you want to ask? So next will be the T-square hoteling control chart. Anything? No. Right.
Pertanyaan?
Yeah, please.
Sorry, Prof Lee. I attend late.
No problem.
Yeah, I'm just asked two questions. First, if we want to use multivariate control chart, but no correlation between variable, is it still can use or not? Because we want to analyze it simultaneously. And the second, how about quality, characteristic of quality not continue variable, like nominal, ordinal? Is it still use multivariate control chart, Prof? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good question. Two questions. Suchi asked. Right. So first is about if your data are not correlated, independence basically. Yeah, if you have that kind of realistic situations, definitely what I mentioned early, then actually when we talk about multivariates, okay, for a single scenario, all the variables normally will be in a situation of correlated or dependent with each other. They will be the best situations. Okay, if your data is independent, so it's similar like if you are doing some regressions or other hypothesis testing, whereby if the distributions are independent, meaning you don't have a joint distributions, so whereby they defeat the purpose of the t-square distributions, where you want to estimate their t-square statistics and so forth. Okay, so it's much more appropriate for you to use univariate, since you already know identify 100% all these distribution are independence. For example, you have the variables, the characteristic will be something like the temperature of a boiler, for example. So if this boiler is independent of each other, so definitely you can use singles to detect, because this is the independence variables. They will be much more easy, because in terms of the calculations, okay, and so forth, it's much more easy rather than use a very complicated. But you probably you will not utilize the control check for the multivariates. Yeah, I think that will be the way forward if you encounter really all the variables independence. Need to look at the situations. Okay. The second is about the control chart. If not continuous. Okay, so today what we mentioned here is all about continuous variables. Okay, so the calculation also will be not appropriate to use for non-continuous variables in this situation, right? Definitely in control chart we do learn other types of data. Yeah, so the one is for univariate, and for multivariate normally we start off with the continuous variables, right? So it's not appropriate to use, because you cannot calculate. For example, the what you call this, the percentage of defects and so forth. This is all continuous, right? Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Maksudnya ada pertanyaan yang lain? Siapa Aci mungkin mau tanya? Okay, I think it's enough.
Okay. Then I will continue.
Yeah,
I will continue. So, okay, you can keep your question first also if you want. I can ask later. Right. So I will continue for the first control chart. They call it a t-square. I think if you learn multivariate also, t-square is quite famous, right? For the distribution, the square of the links. So it's a multivariate control chart that is commonly used for process monitoring. So definitely talking about multivariates here. So this Hotelling is named after this guy. This control chart is suitable for monitoring means vector of multivariate process. So they monitor the mean. Right. So mostly people monitor about mean. So in other situations, you can also monitor about their variabilities and others, whereby you learn as you learn in for attributes variables. The third point here is a t-square Hotelling control chart, essentially extension of Shewhart. So I probably you think learn the first control chart will be the Shewhart control chart. This will be the extensions for multivariate setting. So these two, Shewhart will be for univariate, so t-square will be for multivariates. Okay, right. I don't know whether you take the multivariate course or not. Okay, before or after this. I don't know which semester actually you're going to take for the multivariate. Definitely, if you take statistics degree, definitely you're going to bounce to this t-square Hotelling distributions. Okay, right. Next is about the t-square Hotelling chart. Effectively capture and illustrate the relationship between multiple correlation quality characteristics. So if you have certain characteristics, they are correlated, then you can form the distributions. Okay. So if independent, then there is no more that features that need to use this t-square. Right. It calculate a t-square statistics. So the main point here, it will be the t-square statistics. So you calculate this one based on the distributions. I just want to mention that one for a set of measurements which follow Hotelling T-square distributions. Okay, right. Yeah, this will be the calculation. The complexity or is about this statistics, whether it's simple to calculate or more difficult to calculate. As mentioned before this, that like the MUMA. Okay, later you can see the MUMA when you want to calculate much more difficult, much more complex. Okay. The T-square statistic is a generalized form of the student T statistics adapted for multivariate data. So actually it's the same. This is the extension from that one. So they maintain the names and so forth, right? So it's not something very alien. So actually you derive from there also. If the T-square statistic exceeds certain threshold, it signals that the process is out of control, similar to univariate. So this is the basic principle for so-called control. When you say control limit, we want to make sure the process is in control when the limit. So any T-square value, the statistic, any statistic. So if above or exceed the threshold, so the threshold here can be the upper limit or can be the lower limit. These two also. So then we consider our control. Okay. In terms of formulations here, T-square statistic is calculated as this one. So you have the small n, and this small n is the sample, the sample that you gather that you want to plot. If, for example, you plot the control chart, if the n is 20, meaning you got 20 dot. So you got 20 dot there. Right, then you have this the x bar. So the where x actually got a bar there. I forgot to put the bar there. So the x bar is the mean. Is the mean. For example, you're talking about individual observations. The n equals to 1. I mean, so the x bar equals to x. Okay. So if you take 4 observations to consider as one sample, you take 4 observations, so you take 4 times. Probably after 15 minutes you take another measurement, 15, and then you take another. So you got 4. And we got 4 measurements. Then you average this one. So this average is this x bar. Okay. So then your n, the one will be your m. Later on I'm going to mention another m. So then x double bar will be the overall mean. So if you've got 4 sample, then you got 20 observations, or 20 sample, you got each sample you got 4 observations, then it's 4 times 20. So basically you got 80 80 data. So 80 data. So you can sum up all, then you over 80, then you get this x double bar. Okay. Then you have this covariance variance matrix here, the S inverse this one. Then you will multiply, then you can get the statistics there. Okay. In details, definitely you can look more of the formulas involved there. But this will be the main things, the formulas. Okay. The rest are explanations. Okay. If you need, we can open up books and so forth. I can go through one by one. I think that one you can learn up also. Like, what is the formula for x bar? X bar is very straightforward. It's a summation of xi over n and so forth. Okay. Then how to calculate the s? I think all these are quite basic, similar. You learn many times already in other courses also. And they have got if you got data, you got I and J and so forth. All these details I think this one I'm not going to spend time for that one unless you really want to ask on that basis. Then the rest, if you get used to it, just go through the book and so forth. Then probably you can get into that. Okay, right. So this will be the T-square formula. The x bar, where the x actually is the x bar, is the process variable. X double bar is the sample mean, sample mean vector. So here is mentioned vectors. So also you need to be careful if you're talking about multivariate. So you need to include the word vector. So you are statisticians, so you will be able to understand that actually you have more than one characteristics or more than one variable. So now you're talking multiple variable. Okay, so the vector will be in. So S is a sample covariance matrix. Definitely here we use X lah. If you're talking about in theoretical framework, then you have the sigma lah. Sigma is a populations, that one. Then we don't have an X double bar. So you start off with using the mu. Okay, but eventually they boil down to when it comes to the data, this will be the formula for you to calculate. That's why I use this one to make it more simple. If not, will be very lengthy and yeah. So and the last one will be the N is the sample size. Got how many sample that you have lah. Okay. Then so the t-square statistic follow a chi-square distributions. Okay, with P and M minus P, degree of freedoms. So P is the number of variables lah. You're talking 2 variables, okay, then it's 2. You got 3 variables, that is 3. Okay, definitely would be a very suitable situation where this P variable, for example, P equals to 5, got 5 variables. These 5 variables should be correlated with each other lah. Okay, and then you can form the joint distributions. If the t-square statistics exceed the chi-square control limit, so the process we consider our control. All right. In terms of interpretation, once you get the t-square value, so then you can plot. The next step we're going to plot it. Okay. In the 20, 30 years ago, we used to plot it rather than now that you have computers. Okay, you can use Excel. You can use R, or you can use Python and so forth. So you can plot it, okay? Much more easy for you to plot the things. So first, you must get the t-square, okay, values, okay, using the formulas, have a good understanding on that, how to get each value. Then after that, you need to plot it, okay? But if you go on computer, then you use computer to plot it. T-square alternate control chart, and you plot it, allow the monitoring of process in real time. So if you add data and so forth, so now you already have the upper limit and lower limit, then you can monitor the process similar to univariates. Okay, so we repeat many times already on that one. So points that fall outside the control limit indicate the process could be out of control. Okay, I just need to caution for t-square, have no issue because looking at the last shift for MQ sums, so you need to be careful, probably have a false signal and so forth. So these are some of the things that probably I mentioned a few times, hopefully you stick in your mind. Further investigation is needed if our control points are detected to find the root cause, okay, and apply corrective actions. So what caused that? Probably is because of the shift, okay, new operators, probably due to new machines, machines are faulty, probably about the raw materials, okay, something you don't know, so you need to investigate. Or probably the chart is too sensitive, something like that, okay. So definitely for that one. So basically, what you need to do into interpretation is very straightforward, okay. Yeah, it's not very difficult, I think. So so that will be the concept. So I don't want to burden too much in terms of the formulation and so forth. I think they want, if one, you can further, but this will give you a good motivation of what the chart actually can do, what is the principle behind it. Then next, I will going to give you an example. Okay, so this example is for individuals observations. After that, we're going to give you for group, subgroup, okay, observations. So the data is boiler temperature. Data, okay, so temperature readings for 8 configured burner on a boiler. So you have temperatures, you have a boiler. I think your boiler you tahu kan, something that you want to boil it, for example, then you have the burner like you have the fire downstairs to boil something. So this is a boiler that you want to heat up. Probably inside here can be anything, can be water, can be liquid, can be anything. But you do have this burner. This burner can use anything, can use electricity, heat, or you can use gas and so forth, for example. So you have this burner down here. Okay, so this burner is more than one. Yeah, they call burners. Okay? So probably you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got many burners because probably one burner is not sufficient enough to boil this. To boil these whatever things like you want to boil. So you have more than one. So you want to see in terms of consistency. What happens if all these have the same temperature, but you cannot control 100%. But all this, for example, you got 8. This 8 is not you cannot control. This 100% cannot be 100% equal. So probably has some difference and so forth. But they are correlated. So you have in that situations lah. Okay. Right. This will be the data. So probably going to show you. So you need to load the data. So after that you can plot it. Okay. You can use the R here. This is a library, the QCC library. If since I think you mentioned, if this library, just run this library, you can see this QCC stand for quality control charts. Okay, statistical process QCC. Okay, this will be if this one got error, meaning that what you need to do, you need to install. You just type install, okay, then install package, then you can install this, then the thing will be available. So next you need to you call, because in this library they already have this data here, the boiler. So you have this data here, then you can click if you want. You can see here this data. You got T1, T2, there until T8. So you have this data. Total you have 25. So basically you have 25 data. Each is individual. One data is not more than one. Later on we get an example more than one. This is the example. Probably go through this one a bit here, at least you can understand. So they're taken from these Mason's books here. Okay, very old book, a temperature example here. So actually taken from here. So you want to get the t-square values. Okay, so the observation is 25 observations. Okay, so this is the boiler. 25. So as you can, similar T1 until T8. So the first one is 507. Later on you can see 507. The first one 507 there. Okay, the second one 516. So 516 is there. Okay. Let me see. The descriptions. I think the description is here. So this one you got 25 observation. This table, so it's a temper reading for you have this 8 configure burner on the boiler. So these temperatures, it's T1s. So put into matrix. Okay, I think yeah. So I hope you understand the situations now. You have a boiler here. Then basically, for example, you got 8. You got 8 burner. You got 8 burner downstairs to boil this thing. So each one they measure the temperatures. Okay, they measure the temperatures. So you already have that one, data already show you. So next thing you need to do is that you need to use inside here. You have this one. You have this functions, MQCC function. This M is for multivariate quality control. This ones. Then you have this. You can type if you want. You can type here MQCC, for example. You can see the type here. Okay, the type here. You got 2 type here. One is for single, one is for T. Here. Okay. So for T2 single, meaning chart for individual observations. If talk about T, then is for subgroup. For subgroup. So you just need to get that one correct. Okay, then you can get the result that you want. So I'm going to put it here and run it. As you can see, so you have this one. So you can see the sample size here equals to 1 because these are individuals. Later on, I'm going to see one example when the sample size is not 1. Okay, so it's 1 there. Then you have this. You have your control limit there, and you have the down here 0. Then you can see a point that actually some point are outside the control limits. So this will warrant for investigation. What is the reason behind it? Okay, but you need to stop it and so forth. You also can get some summary here if you want. So because this all the data information you already assigned to this one. So if you run this one, you can see that actually is here. Let's start from here. Yeah. So you give you some summary. You know basically what is the mean, okay, what will be the the medians and other measurements lah, okay. So you know the The maximum value is 17, the minimum value is 1.3, and so forth. You can see a number of variable, you got 8, so beneath is correct. They have 25, you can see this have got 25, so this group and so forth. You can see the center values. The center values is this one, okay, or this value for each one. And you remember the formula just now, we got S, the covariance and variance matrix. So there will be the variance and covariance matrix. This one is the mean. The center is for the mean value. The X bar. Okay, the X double bar. Sorry. So this is the mean value. So this value is needed to you use it for the calculation of this one. This one. You here. Okay. So you all this variation, but you don't need to do it because software will do it for you. So basically it's from here, the calculations, you get all this mean and so forth. Then you can use to calculate your t-square. So this is a covariance matrix. You got 8 there. So until t8. So 8 times 8. Then you can add determinants and so forth. So you always can check if you want. So then you can create the upper and lower limit, and so all the t. So all this dot is a t. So this is a control limit is like 14.2 something. So this one is 15 is something. So there will be the situations. Right. Yeah. So this will be the simplest. Okay, you can just go back and have a try. You load the library and get a data set. You can change your data set and so forth, and use not only this function, other function also you can use, as long as you can create the thing there for you. Then it will be okay. So this is the example. I think you already they show you. Okay. So in terms of interpretation here for individuals' observations, you can see the t-square Hotelling chart is generated using this MQCC function. Yeah, definitely for different library, you can use difference. Okay, for boiler data. So this function computes the t-square statistics here for each sample. So once you have that data, then they can plot in the process. If the process is in control, the plot should mostly show point within the control limit. But we can see that actually got 2 points outside the control limit, like is between the dashed line there. Points outside the control limit suggest that the process may out of control. So this could be due to special causes you need to investigate. So the common thing people will go through the things what is the input for the process. So whatever touch the process, then you need to investigate. Okay. Then our control point could indicate shift in the process mean vectors. Meaning if you are targeting something, so for example, you're targeting certain temperature for the boiler. Okay, so you have a boiler temperature, for example, you want to maintain 500 for example. So the boiler will be 500. So that one is, if not, then probably above or below that 500 that you are targeting. So this correlation between variables and so forth. Okay, it's crucial to investigate the root cause of our control point to improve the process and maintain stabilities. Okay, sometimes you want to do something, the temperature must be maintained, especially for example, for chemical petroleum process. Talking about oil and gas. So in that process, they want to maintain certain temperatures. So all this is very important, and so forth. Okay. Yeah. So I will continue for subgroup observations. Okay. So we're going to use another data set. This data set actually for rain 2011. So, okay, in this table here. So you have two variables. Okay, show you the data. So this is the data actually from this book. Okay. We have an example P equals to 2 here. Yeah. So and you have a 20 subgroup, okay, represented by 20 rows. Later I'm going to show you the data. So you got 20 rows there, and with 4 observation in each subgroup. So each of the data, you got 4 observations. Okay, so there will be the situations. This will be the first variable. This will be the second variable. Okay, so first and second. Then you can see actually you got 20 here, 20 sample, and the size is 4 lah. Each this one you got 4. So then you can get the X bar. It will be this one. Then the X double bar will be for the all variables lah. Okay, so this will be the data that actually taken for this exercise. Right. So this is the data. So we use metrics. Okay, definitely you can many way lah. This one is a direct input to R. You can use CSV data, or you can use Excel data. Okay, you can input in whatever way that you want, as long as the data available. Okay, so this is one. Then X2 will be here. So we define it because this one is in a vector form. So we define n column, so equals to 4. So 1 4, then we consider 1. The second one is 4. So all is 4, then you consider as one sample. Okay. Then we're gonna have using list. Okay, then combine this one into X. Then you going to use back the MQCC that I mentioned just now, these functions. So X will be your data here. Then the type you're going to use T2 because now your N is already 4. So then if you run, you can get your answer because for this QCC they got these 2 individual subgroups. Okay, so you can use that one. Okay. Okay. Here. So I'm going to run this one. Okay, it's the same data set. You can see that this one, the data here. So I'm going to run this one. As you can see, the data is already there. Then the X2 is there. Then we're going to combine it. Then next, we're going to use these functions. The important one here is the T2. The T2 meaning for subgroup data. All right. So you already get the result here. You can see the sample size here is 4. Okay. Sample size here is 4. Okay. The number of group here is 20. You can see 1 until 19. Then last one is 20. Then you can see some data is outside this upper control limit. So you can put this summary, okay, for this Q. Similar to the previous one, as you can see, here you can see what is the smallest value, what will be the biggest value, what is the average, okay. All these are basic. Then I think the most obvious one, when you use T2, you can see the group sample is 4 here. Okay, then the variable is 2. So 2, if you're talking about 10, also same lah. You run in the same manner. Okay, just do it and you can get the answer. But 2 will be a very small matrix or vector here. But if you're talking about 10 or 20, it will be a much bigger one. So this will be the X bar. This is the mean vector here. This is the matrix, okay, for the variance and covariance here. So you can see all the metric here. Then you have this one. All this is used for calculations. Okay, you want to double check or so forth. This will be your control limit for the upper one. You can see it's 11 somewhere here. You do have some data outside there. Okay. So this will be the things. If you want further, you not only using this control chart, but you still can use this ellipsoid. Ellipse control, what you call this illustration or figures to show the data that actually outside. Okay, you can display in this form also lah. But you have X1 will be your for this X, and for the Y axis will be X2. Okay, so you can see the ellipse here. This one is one way. Then if you want to see which observations, so for example, you know the outside, but you want to identify which observation. So this is a 20 observations. This is a 10, but this is not independent. Both data also are correlated. As you can see, even the graph show you they are correlated and outside here. If not correlated, you know the ellipsoid, the form will be round. It's not ellipse, it's a round. So there's no correlation between these two. So to do that, you can just use this one, this one, this ellipse chart. Then you put it in here, so you can plot this one. But if you want to show the ID, meaning just now go ID 20, go ID 10, so you can run this one. Then you can see the number here actually. For 20, quite easy. We got many, for example, then that will be good. So you can identify which, when, and so forth. So this will be helpful. Depends on the functions and what is available and so forth. So you can venture more if you want. So all this is here. You can venture more. Okay, interpretations. Okay, this way hoteling chart is created by this for this data considering subgroup of 4. Okay, so we still use this MQCC functions to calculate the t-square hoteling statistic for each subgroup. Okay, then after that we plot it. So control limit indicate the dash, so the line will be the the control limit. And you can calculate from the subgroup there. Points that lie between the control limit indicate the process is in control. So any point outside the control limit signify a potential spatial cost. Variations in process suggest that the process may be out of control. Further investigation is needed. Okay. Yeah, I think that's all basically on the t-square, very basics control chart. So is as mentioned, the purpose is meant for last shift. If you have a process for last shift, this will be appropriate control chart to use. Before we go to the small and medium shift, is this one, the MQ sum. So before I continue, anything you want to ask? No. Okay. So I will continue. Okay.
Prof.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, Prof.
Yes, I'm here.
I want to ask a question.
Sure.
Okay. One difficulty encountered with any multivariate control chart is particular interpretation of an out of control signal. Specifically, how can we know which variable is responsible for out of control signal?
Yeah, okay, good question. We want to identify which variable actually. So because this is correlated, correct? So this is correlated. Basically look at the overall. All variables are involved, as mentioned just now. For example, here, there's a chart. I will show you the chart. Yeah, so you can see that actually the point number 20, the sample or the observations or the data number 20 and also 10 is out of control. Probably this is better show you these two. So so you know this is out of control. Are you interested in the variables or are you interested in the actually what it contribute to the out of control? So people are not interested in the variable because variable is the input. You know which variable actually, for example, the burner just now. This is a burner, right? So this is not the burner. For example, you give you an example, you got 8. You got 8 burners there. So you are not trying to identify which variable, which burner actually contribute, but you want to identify the overall. So overall, you need to look into that scenario much better rather than you to identify which, because these are related. Definitely, if you want, you can zoom in from the 8 variable, which value actually different from the other. If you're looking at, you assume that all variable, for example, all these burners should have a equal temperature. Then one is outside the what you call it, the target temperature. Probably you can consider that one also. So depends on the situations. If you're talking about all burners have equal, but not all variables are equal. For example, I may mention just now you have a ring, the piston ring. You got inner ring and outer ring, so you cannot assume the measurements or the target value is the same. Probably the inner ring is 10, outer ring is 15 cm, for example. So you have a different value there. So to identify which, then you need to look into more details, right? better look into overall first to identify what actually contribute to that one. But if you if not due to that one, then you can go narrow down. Now, normally we will due to that one. For example, you identify actually the outer ring, what contribute to that, then you need to identify it. Okay, it's no straightforward solutions now. So you encounter that one, then you already know there is a problem, then just identify it. Okay. Hope answer the questions.
Okay, thank you, Prof.
Welcome. Any more questions? Okay, if no, then I think I will continue. Okay. So next, we will talk about MQ sum, control charts. So M stands for motivated. Q sum is the same thing, cumulative sums. So motivated cumulative sum. Okay, control charts are extension of univariate Q sums. Okay, control chart for motivated case. Right? They are utilized for monitoring shift in the process mean vector. So come back to the same thing. You want to monitor the process for the mean. Okay, so the mean, but here you have vector because the multivariate in the multivariate process. An MQ sum chart involves plotting the cumulative sum of deviations of a process variable from a target value. Okay, so this will be the situations. You just need to get just like a t-square basically. So you need to get the MQ sums statistics. Then after that you plot it. So the MQ sum chart provides an effective tools for detecting small and moderate shift. So this is a different from the t-square hoteling. So t-square for the large shift. This one is more on small and moderate also in process mean vector. So you have a mean vectors. For example, this is the boiler. You got eight temperatures. You want to make sure all is the same. So probably all is the same, or probably I don't know. Probably sometimes they want to in the left much higher temperature from the left, or less. For example, or sometimes they do the process. The temperature is not for a boiler, for example, it's a conveyor. So they want to maintain the heat. Probably the heat here and the end heat there will be different. So they have a different mean vectors. The value of the heat will be different. But if you're talking a single thing, probably have a same temperature. So all is up to the process, what they want to do. Okay. Right. The last point here, the most common type of MQ sum chart are the VMAS Q sum chart and also tabulars and so forth. So if you go to the Montgomery's books, they will give you all the details also on that. Okay. In terms of formulations here, the MQ sum statistics, okay, is a cumulative sum of deviations from target values, okay, which typically the process mean vector under conditions, okay. So the deviations calculated in a multivariate context, taking into account of correlation between variables. Okay, so the Q statistic at time I can be calculated using this formula. Okay, so this is a formula for the one. Same like without multivariate for the univariate Q sums. So you have a zero also. Same thing, like zero. You got negative value, you can make zero. So in between this value, you want to get which one is maximum. Is whether it's zero or if negative, then it becomes zero, or have a bigger value than that. Then you sum up the deviations, right, of this one. So then you have this Si minus 1. So Si minus 1 is the previous one, the at time I minus 1, okay, the previous statistics for these MQ sums. Then you plus the Xi minus the Xo minus the K. So the Xi is the observations at time T, X9 is the target value, then K is the reference value. So I have all these details now, okay. And our control signal is given if the MQ sum statistic exceed a certain threshold. Same like a t-square, right? Anything above, then you consider our controller. Something, okay. So for the interpretations, an MQ sum chart display the cumulative sum over time, provide a visual representative of the process stabilities. So you can see. So if most of the value, because it's a sum, right? So if more of the very near to zero, means the process is stable. You have a stable process. But if you know away from zero, meaning basically the process is not stable. So if the process is in control, so the MQ sum statistic should hover around zero, should be very near to zero, and consistent increase or decrease. If you can see, the value keep increase, or sometimes after increase, then it go decrease. I think you still remember the first lecture that I give, right? You have an example for the Q sum also. So indicate a shift. So basically just the same, because you single for the univariate. Now you're talking about multivariate, but multivariate, you have a single statistic also. We come back to just a different presentations. Now it's not Q sum, but it's a MQ sum, but it's a single value also. So the way of looking at it is quite the same. But it's already catered for the correlations. So consistency increase or decrease may indicate a shift of the process mean vector. Now the difference will be it's not only mean, but it's a mean vector there. Points outside control limit suggest that the process is our control and require further investigations. So this is a thing that you need to do. So repeat many times. Okay. So we'll be on that basis. Next, we're going to give you this example. Data. We're going to use the same data set. The boiler temperature data. Okay. Temperature reading from 8 configured burner on a boiler. So I think I'll show you the data just now. Okay. So I hope you can imagine about the data scenarios. Okay. So basically you have a boiler. You got many fire downstairs. Okay. To heat up the boiler. So basically you got 8 there. You got 8 to heat up. Probably the boiler is very big. So then you have got 8 downstairs. But because the fire is going up, so they want to get, I don't know what they want to do. Just an example. So this is the 8 to get it, to monitor it, to make it consistent or whatever. So this the SPC is very important for you to use. Okay. Is only now we're going to use another library. The library is a MSQC. Because for library QCC, they don't have this MQ sum. Okay, this is only limited to the T square. So you can see the type there is only for T square and T square dot single. Remember that? Just now I show you. You have these two. So because this is a free one, so people stop there. And for MQ sums, if you search it, basically is you can the function is available here. Okay, for MQ sum. So you need to use this library to use the function Q sum there. Downstairs you can see the Q sum functions there for for the purpose as mentioned here. All right. Sometimes you need to shift here and there. Okay. Unless you purchase, then it will be different story lah. Okay. Right. Then you need to standardize the data. Then after that, you can get the result as mentioned here. This is the output. So I'm going to show you here a bit. I think boiler data just now is mentioned there. So this is the library here. Okay, MSQC. You need to run it. You got error, then you need to install it. Install.package. Okay, you install the one, then you can run it. You can see this one. Library. Okay. I thought what happened. Okay, now the library is already loaded. So you're going to use the same data. Just double put that one. Then they scale it. Okay, to have a single univariate measurements. Okay, they scale the boiler data. Okay. Then basically use these functions, this Q sum function. So the trick is here. Okay, it's only when you use this MSQC, you don't need to use like the previous one. You need to plot it or something like that. So this one also not need to plot. Okay, so it's straight away they plot it for you. Once you get this one, then inside the function also they do the plot. So this is the plot here. As you can see, then you have 25 observations, same like the previous one. Okay, here you got 25 observation here. Then you can see some of the data is outside here. Basically got 3, 4 down here. You got 2 upstairs. So right. So this is the MQ sum, and also if you want to get it, I think that's all. Right. Yeah. Right. I think this is quite straightforward. Okay. Most important, I don't know, show this one. Okay. You can search lah. Probably using different software, but you just need to be perseverance. Okay. Search for the thing that you want. There will be available lah. At least you know. Then you can move on to other things. So you can plot it. If not, then you definitely just do manually. Right. This is the thing. Yeah, same interpretation and so forth. I think I'm not going to repeat the ones. So here is a very short one. So the resulting MQ sum control chart visually represent how MQ sum statistics change over time. So you can see all the dot is the statistics lah. MQ sum statistics. All this dot here, all this dot here is the is the statistics that you gather. So an upward or downward trend in MQ sum statistic will indicate a potential shift in the process vector mean. So you have a process mean. If you want it to be stable, then if the things shift going down, or going up, out of the control, probably it's not out of control, but it's moving up or something like that. So if you really need a very stable process, then you need to investigate. So this will help you to monitor. Okay. So the movement, if hover over this 0, it should be okay. This implies that the multivariate process is moving away from its target. Okay. If the MQ sum statistic hover around 0, it can be interpreted as the process remain under control. Okay. This suggests that the process mean vector is stable over time. Okay. So very straightforward meaning. Okay. Any sudden or consistent change in the MQ sum statistic over time can signify a process shift. Okay. So you can see that, if you know, suddenly jump. Okay. Or consistently they move up, so you know the thing is moving. Sometimes they move, after that they come back. Probably they move again. So then what caused this one? Probably you have shift 1, shift 2, shift 3. Probably the shift 2, the trigger the shift. Then you probably need to check what the operator do in the shift 2, for example. So these kind of things lah. You need to investigate. Okay, these few factors that normally people look into, the materials, the people, okay, and the machinery and so forth. Okay, whatever is involved, okay, to produce the output. Right. It's important to investigate the cost. Okay, I think that's all they want. So any question you want to ask for MQ sum before I move to the last one, the MUMA control chart. 61 students. Okay. Right. No? Good. So far, okay. So far, so good. Understand? Okay, good. Right. So yeah. So I will okay, continue. Hi. Right. So the next one this one the most interesting one. Sometimes interesting things yeah, more difficult lah. But not very difficult. Okay. Yeah, is there like the UMA? Do you have the advantage and disadvantage there? Okay, pro and cons. So for this multivariate exponential weighted moving average, before this we learned UMA, now we use MUMA. Okay, so it's a statistic method for monitoring multivariate time order data. So it's a time dependence lah. Okay, so moving on that ones. So your data should be continuous, considering both current and past observations, just like MUMA also. UMA also, okay, so the MUMA, yeah, so they consider, like for MQ sum they don't consider, they take all the data, okay, for the calculation. But this one, the more recent data, you have more weight, okay. Sometimes it's much more logical, but not for all situations. Probably talking about like stock market, probably the recent one are more represent, okay, for the future data. But if we're talking about manufacturing things, probably consistency. The data yesterday and today will be considered the same because you want the same things. Okay, yeah. So it depends on the situations. All right. Okay. Okay, is special useful when observation are dependence. Okay, so this one I think mentioned, whereby the data should be correlated. Okay, usage MUMA is a primary use in high quality data setting. Okay, where small shift is in the process mean vector need to be detect quickly. Very neat. As a bit changes also. Okay, we want to detect. We don't want to be different. For example, they're producing something like very expensive thing, like lens. Probably like the camera lens, for example, a bit, then probably it will be distorted or something like that. Okay, or probably handphones, things, something very delicate, and so forth. So small shift also will give you the difference, output or something like that. So they want to monitor. Then this will be the very good one. If you're talking about, for example, the target, the lumen, for example, the camera one, for example, the lumen talking about 2,000 lumen. They want exactly 2,000, for example. They want more, they want less, for example. A bit shift also, it will be a different story. So there will be where the MUMA will be play important role here. Advantages here, MUMA can detect small shift more quickly than other method. Okay, so if you're using MQ sum or use T-square, okay, probably in many observations ahead, then you detect it, but too late already. The production also they come up with so many products. Okay, all this will be wasted and so forth. So they don't want. So they want to detect it very fast because probably the thing is expensive and so forth. You can imagine all this okay scenario and so forth. Yeah. So other methods such as this one and so forth. This make it particularly useful for processes that are highly controlled and need to maintain narrow tolerance range, very small range. Okay, they don't want to have a very loose one, very neat and so forth. You can imagine anything lah. They have less tolerance. Okay. Yeah. Principle. Okay. A weight factor. The weight factor, the lambda. You learn in this UMA, correct? The lambda, the weight factor in between 0 and 1 is applied to each data point, which give more weight to recent data. So the recent will give more weight and less weight to older data. Okay. So there will be the scenario lah. The MUMA control chart is a type of control chart used to monitor multiple related variables that are measured on the same item. Okay, same thing lah. Okay, so the MUMA control chart combine features of Shewhart control chart and also the exponential weighted moving average, the MUMA. So they combine these two, then they become the MUMA lah. The MUMA chart is more sensitive to small change in process mean than the T-square control chart. So we mentioned many times, okay, give you many times. So this is the importance lah. One of the descriptive thing, definitions, concept things. Okay, if you ask you in terms of assessments, as the statisticians, you must know lah the difference. Okay, this is a basic. Sometimes if you don't know how to calculate something, calculate wrongly, there will be still is another step lah. Okay, but if you cannot differentiate between Shewhart, MUMA, UMA, Q-sum, then no, this is just a descriptive thing. Okay, this will be something probably we ask you your assessment, or you must know lah. It's not because of assessment, because you need to know. Okay, it's your pride as a statistic. You learn this course. Somehow you need to know the basic. Don't know how to calculate, no problem. You use software and so forth. But if you don't know the principle, you get the result also useless. Okay. So understand the things better. I think it can help you a lot. Okay. Okay. This will be the main difference here. Then the next one is the MUMA statistic. So the statistic is not like the previous, like the T-square and so forth. That one. So it's a weighted average. So you use the lambda of the current observation and the previous MUMA statistics. The weighted decrease exponentially. That's why they call exponential weighted. So they decrease. Statistics basically is the same. As you can see, this statistic here. For univariate, you have the same structure, same format. You have the lambda, you have the variables, then you have the 1 minus lambda and the previous statistics. So it's always in this fashion. So you have the ZT, lambda, XT, then the previous one. Okay, so lambda will be between 0 and 1. Yeah. Next is the Z. ZT is the MUMA. Okay, statistic. Lambda is the weight factor. X is the multivariate observation. So you have the observation, the X. So you have the data basically. The data will be there. Just like you do regression, you have the X matrix there. At time T, okay, the Z. So it's the previous MUMA statistic. So it's a T minus 1 level. So weighting factor lambda controls the amount of past information included in ZT. So how much information that you want to actually give weight to the previous observations. Okay. So a small lambda mean that more past informations is included. Okay. Something. Okay. So the MUMA control jet monitor the Z values over time. Okay, so after that, once you have all these statistics for the MUMA, then you can plot it. Then you can monitor over time. So any out of control signal is given by these values. Nabos distance, okay, d square. Nabos distance, the d square of Z exceeds certain threshold. So this is the measurements for d square, okay, for multivariate. So you have the X, okay, then you have the mean vector here, the mu. Okay, so it's a difference between these. One is your target, one is your data. So then you have the covariance for your data. So covariance metric is a S there. Then you can get the distance. So the distance measure the separation of the data point X from the distributions. Okay, with mean mu and covariance S. Take into account correlation between the data. So they take into correlation data, then you see what is the distance between your data and also the target. Same thing. So basic principle. Okay. Right. So this will be the example here. So you consider a multivariate process with two variables. So now you have two variables, the x1 and x2. Okay. Let observation at different time. So the time will difference from here. This is the x1, this is the x2. So this is time 1, time 2, time 3, time 4, and time 5. So you have these two. So you assume that the process is in control with the means. So if in control, so your mean is mu1, mu2. And covariance using the sigma here. Okay. If it's not available, then you substitute with S. So as simple as that. So for each observation vector, the X, okay, so this is X, this is a pair of X1 and X2. X1 and X2 is already available there. Okay, time T. Then you can calculate the MUMA statistic. So using the same things because you already have the XT here. So XT is a pair of this one. Then you have the previous one. So lambda is the weight. So sometimes people take lambda, for example, 0.2, they substitute, then you do the calculations. Okay. The sequence of ZT statistic, this value here, will be monitored over time. So the T so the T is out of this Mahalanobis distance. So they will consider our controller. Okay. Right. Right. This one if you search the R square, they don't have this MUMA function yet. Okay. Previously they have, but they already removed from R repository. So currently they don't have this one. Okay. So it needs to be other software. So you can search probably can search for the SAS software and so forth. But for R currently they already removed it from the repository. So I cannot show you this one, but the same principle. Okay. Right. Multivariate control chart. Okay. Selection appropriate chart control. I think this is very important. Sometimes people learn many control chart, but are able to identify which one are more appropriate, when to use it, and so forth. So probably just a quick this information. So at least you know it. Then in terms of calculations, then see how you can get it. Okay, you develop it or you can use other software. Okay, they're available. Type of data. So we're talking about these few things. Okay, to select or to choose which type of chart is more appropriate. So we look at few dimensions. One of it is the type of data. So the nature of the process data, excuse me. you look whether it's an individual or a subgroup. Okay, your observation. So if subgroup, then you use the appropriate formulas. Okay, so as is a key factors. So you need to know whether if a subgroup or is an individual. So T-square Hotelling chart are appropriate for both. If your data is represented individual or observation, so T-square is okay. Whereas MQSUM also MUMA charts primarily used for individual observations. So okay, not say cannot, but it's primarily used for individual observations. So you have individual observations, so you can opt for this one also. Okay, but you need to depend whether it's a big shift or small shift and so forth. But all this is in your considerations. Okay. Size of shift detections. If small shift in the process mean critical to detect quickly, then MQSUM and MUMA charts are generally more effective because if you prolong or the product because you're going to reject, so the probably cost occur and so forth. Okay, and you cannot afford that. Then definitely you can use T-square. As for large shift, T-square Hoteling's chart can be considered sufficient. The next thing is false alarm rate. Okay, if the process is sensitive to false alarm, okay, then T-square Hotelling and MUMA chart with careful chosen control limit can be more appropriate because MQSUM, as mentioned, is prone to false alarm. Okay. So you need to be careful on that. If that will be you don't want to have that issue, okay, then to have lower false alarm. So MQSUM chat can have more sensitive to false alarm, too sensitive, okay. Like allergic, sometimes people know if they eat some food, they get allergic. Okay, so something like that. So this if you got false alarm issue, you don't want to have this one, then definitely you need to choose the appropriate one. Ease of interpretation. Definitely T-square Hotelling charts may be simpler to interpret as they provide a single test statistic calculated for the process measurements. So simple, straightforward, okay. Have the advantage, or definitely have the shortcoming. In contrast, MQSUM and MUMA charts can be more complex, involve a series of computations and multiple control charts. Okay, so these are things okay. Adaptability. If the process change over time, a chart like MUMA, which allow the adjustment of the sensitivity to change because they have this lambda. Okay, so you can modify the lambda. It will be a good choice if there's a thing that you want to go for. So MQSUM chart also adapt quickly to changes also. So a quick recap. Okay, before open for Q&A sessions now. Okay, a quick recap what we learned today. Multivariate process monitoring. So in overall is an essential tool for statistical quality control that allow monitoring of more than one quality variable simultaneously. So you have a few variables you want to monitor. So this is one of the way forward way to use these tools okay, multivariate control chart here. The T-square Hotelling control chart is generalized version of Schuhart control chart, but it's only looking at these versions, the multivariate scenario is full when variables are correlated. Okay, if not correlated, definitely you don't need you can use for each variable you can use Schuhart control chart. Definitely you can get the result. So much straightforward because it's not correlated, right? The MQSUM control chart is extension of QSUM control chart for multivariate processes, providing quicker detection for small and moderate shift. So if they have that in mind, then will be the good. Okay, the last one, but the list is the MUMA control chart. Is another useful tool that give more weight to recent observation in detecting shift in the process spin. So these multivariate control charts are applicable to both individual and also subgroup observations. Okay, definitely some are much better, some are less. For example, okay, that just now already mentioned the one providing a flexibility to diverse quality control. So why people take subgroup observation and use individual, I think already mentioned in our first meeting. Okay, right. So the selection of a suitable control chart largely depend on the nature of the process. Okay, so need to gain experience and so forth. But at least you know how to do it first, lah. Okay, then come to a real situation, definitely always can test it. The specific requirement of quality control task. So I think that's all for our this second meetings. Okay, hope you learn something. Okay, so because it's only 3 control chart, so probably be a bit early. Okay, so I think I already present everything. So okay, needed for these 3 topics. Okay, so I think with that I end my talk. If you want to ask anything, you can ask. Okay.
Ayo silakan teman-teman yang mau bertanya. Is there any question? Ainin, maybe. Tiara, do you have any question? Agadani, is everything all right? Obed, Beth, are you there, Obed? Obed, any question, Beth? Derma, Beth.
Tidak ada, Pak.
Oh, tidak ada. Tak ada.
Okay.
Obed is the Maduranis, Prof.
Ah, Madura.
Obed is Madura.
Madura. Not bad, not bad.
I think there is no question, Prof.
Yeah, so
It's feeling all right. Maybe a lot of friends have good understanding for this metrics.
So thank you very much for having me here. So I hope you understand what I have given, but you always can reach me, okay, through my to my email address and so forth. The information available on the web now. So so I'm wishing you all the best in your future undertakings. So hope you'll be successful in your career, especially in this line, the data science or statistics. This is growing, what you call it, disciplines. Okay, as the data grow, the demand is there. So equip yourself with all these important tools, whereby definitely people will going to know all the potential employer will looking for all these this what you call expertise that the expertise they want. Okay, so so take the opportunity to learn as much as possible in your study. So I think that's all. Wishing you all the best. So sorry I cannot know each of you. Say I now got 50 somethings. So you've got opportunities in future, so probably can meet and so forth. Okay, if you see me somewhere, do you mention? So okay, I think that's all. Happy to see you all. Thank you for inviting. Okay, Dr. Suchi and also
Prof Hisyam Lee,
yes.
Don't go anywhere.
Don't go anywhere.
Because we have.
Oh, I see.
Because we have obviously closing from head of department.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Probably can take some picture. The man to probably send me. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
Langsung Ares.
Oh.
Okay.
Let me
Okay,
unshare my. I think I already unshare and stop sharing.
Okay, probably this is a token of appreciation from us. So file of the certificate. We're going to send it to the email, to your email address. Hope you hope we can have another chance to have you listen something to us, or the other way around. Maybe staff from University of Brawijaya can contribute something to UTM. We hope that can happen in the future. Okay, for the team, Pak Darmanto, Bu Suci, and the students, I hope everything that presented by Prof Lee will be beneficial for you, for your future study, for the students especially, and Bu Suci and Pak Darmanto, maybe the new insight that is teach this opportunity give you a kind of new experience, yeah, and how to present the material in a new way. Okay.
Thank you, Dr.
That will
Rahma.
be all from me. Yeah, you're welcome. Back to the Master of Ceremony or Pak Darmanto. I don't know.
Okay, thank you very much. I handle it, yeah. Thank you, Prof Hisyam Lee, for the very interesting and nice lecturing for master course in statistical process control. And I hope this is not end of meeting, that we can continue in the next in the following meeting, yeah.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Okay, maybe that's all, yeah. See you next time.
Okay,
Prof
see you.
Hisyam Lee. And maybe I actually give you some message from WhatsApp. Maybe
Okay,
you can
good.
read, and
Yeah.
maybe we can communicate in the next communication, yeah. Prof.
Sure. Well, that
Okay,
will be great.
inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone. Okay, have a good day ahead, everyone. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Assalamualaikum.
Materi maksudku.
Iya kok tak WA, iki lho WA.